All right, it is time now for Options Insight, and joining us right now is Kevin Kelly. He is Benchmark Investments CIO. Kevin, great to speak with you by phone. We just spoke with John Porter of Mellon, who observed that the VIX is stubbornly high. What do you see across the VIX futures curve right now that indicates we'll be at these elevated levels for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I heard him mention that, and I think it's stubbornly high because if you think about what the VIX really is it's the uncertainty index. And we have a lot of uncertainty around employment, along the energy patch, along what's going to happen with the virus. So if we look at the VIX curve, we actually can go out 3 months and see that it's actually predicting over 3% daily moves. It's around the 50 level. And if you think about spot VIX today, it's about 55. So we should anticipate that we're going to get strong daily moves over 3% for the next 3 months, which is pretty telling.
All right, Kevin, you have a trade here. Talk about it to us here. This is in the industrial sector?
So the trade actually is in the communications infrastructure sector. And so one of the reasons why we're liking this sector is because it's got big bellwether names that actually help us in our daily lives. And one of those companies is American Tower, and they're replacing Raytheon in the S&P 100. And so what we think investors should do is go out here and capitalize on the elevated volatility to generate a lot of yield. And so if you go out to July and sell the 180 put on American Tower, you're going to get $11.50. That's a 6.4% yield for a 107-day trade, right? With the stock at 205, it gives you a downside buffer of 12%, right? And then your break even would be 168.50. But we also have the administration talking about the need for infrastructure. The FCC has a 5G fast track plan. So when you hear the CEO of Qualcomm today talk at 5 p.m. on Bloomberg, he will be talking about the build out of 5G. And his own vice presidents have said in a 5G world, the towers that American Tower has need to have 10 times the amount of capacity for 5G to take hold. So this is a great place to position portfolios in today. You mentioned industrials. There are bearish trades in the industrial patch today. We're seeing about 5 times the amount of puts being traded on the XLI.
Yeah, I see industrials as one of the worst performers so far this year. Healthcare, on the other hand, has held up a little bit better because of the promise of some kind of breakthrough medication. What do you see when it comes to the options activity on healthcare?
Yeah, so healthcare is a great place where investors are seeking refuge, and you're seeing about 2 times the amount of calls happen in the XLV. So think about one of the biggest predominant players in the XLV, that's Johnson & Johnson. They're actually trying to repurpose their supply chain to help in the coronavirus environment. So you can go into certain spots and pick and choose where you can place your bets, especially when you see 3-month VIX above 55. And we did talk about this a couple weeks ago where options expiration last week or 2 weeks ago was elevated. It's coming down, especially in places like healthcare.
All right, good stuff. Kevin Kelly, CIO of Benchmark Investments. Really appreciate it. From New York, this is Bloomberg.